Hey YouTube, Skipper T here again. Today, in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to take some straws. Hopefully you can see the end on that. Fairly large, probably a quarter, well, shoot, almost a ½ inch in diameter. But what we're going to do is we're going to take some Riley's Cajun seasoning and we're going to make some tubes such as this one. Now this particular one I put garlic in, and I just estimated the size. I was pretty close on that. But what we're going to do is we're going to fit them so that they'll fit in an Altoids tin, and then we'll be able to carry seasoning with us. Now I don't have an empty one, and so this is my sewing kit. I've got a needle, I've got a hooked needle here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's actually stuck to this particular thing because this is a needle holder. And in here I've got some large needles, some sail needles. I've even got some smaller needles in here as well. I've got 3 or 4 bobbins here on the inside, a little bit of tape on them there, so I need to redo that, but with some outdoor polyester heavy duty thread on there. So anyway, I'm going to carry a thimble so that I don't poke myself with it. A couple of other things in there, some spare buttons and some safety pins, some vinyl patches for like my parka, or not my parkas, but my ponchos and things like that, so that I can do repairs on the fly. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to use this tin, because this tin is what will ultimately, or one similar, what we'll do is we'll make them to fit in here, and we'll cut them to the appropriate length so that they'll fit on the inside. Now I will actually look at it from the inside because it's a little bit smaller, because the lid obviously flips over the top. So to do this, you're going to need a couple of straws. And again, these were just some cheap ones I picked up at a store similar to Walmart in our local area. And you know, it's like $1.99 for 100 of these things, and they're thick, they're stout. These are not cheap little straws. So what you're going to need for this is you're going to need obviously a pair of scissors. You're going to need the straws. I'm going to use a set of needle nose pliers. If I was out in the wilderness and wanted to reseal one of these, I would just simply use the plier portion of my multi-tool. So if you don't have needle nose pliers, get your multi-tool out and you'll be set to go. I am going to use a little bit of a spoon because, and this is just a teaspoon that I got from the house, because this just does not take a whole lot. In fact, to fill this one up may have been about 1½ of these, and today I'm going to measure that out and figure it out. You're also going to need a Sharpie. And why do you need a Sharpie? Because you need to write on the outside of this. You can't read my writing, nor can I, but that says garlic on it, and this one's actually filled with garlic powder. When I look up at the light, it's actually filled to about this point right here, about maybe a ¼ inch down. That gives me enough then that I can pinch this with my needle nose pliers. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to melt the edges together just ever so gently on it, just enough to keep this inside. Then if I'm out in the wilderness or whatever, I can take my knives, I can cut the end of this off, or the scissors on my multi-tool, and you know, I can sprinkle this over whatever it is that I have found to eat. Now if I'm eating a prepackaged meal, a backpacker, or a dehydrated meal or something like that, I'm more than likely already going to have plenty of seasoning. But if this is a long term, or if I'm out backpacking and I intend to, you know, catch a squirrel, shoot a rabbit, do whatever the case may be, I'm going to want to season the meat or anything that I come across that I want to eat. Even if I'm just picking greens up off of the ground and utilizing some of the, you know, natural vegetation in the area. There's quite a bit around where I live that you can just go pick it right off the ground and ultimately have a salad. Well, it's just going to taste like a whole lot of nothing, and maybe even bitter on some of the things that are available. So again, I could just snip the end of this off with a knife, whatever, use what seasoning I need to on it. Then I can just grab it back with my pliers. I'll use this as an example. Get these right close to the edge like this, maybe back about 1/8 of an inch. I don't know if you guys can see that, but pretty darn close. And then the other tool that we're going to use is one of my all-time favorite things sitting on my workbench is the Harbor Freight butane torch. You just rotate the top on this. You can hear the gas coming out. Push the piezo switch. And now you've got a nice hot little flame. You can make it larger, you can make it smaller. You can kind of go in between on that and then shut it off. You just close the valve. So for $8, you can't go wrong. And I cannot tell you, I've had this for about 2 years. A friend of mine turned me on to these. And it is amazing how often I use this, especially with paracord. If you want to, seal the ends on the paracord and melt them together, this is the perfect tool for that. So let's get started. What I'm going to do is measure one out. We're just going to get fairly close. I'll cut to the inside because I really want them to have plenty of room. And I'm going to take that off. Now I'm going to grab this, like I said, right about 1/8 of an inch on the end. I'm going to fire up my tool or my butane torch here. And then very slowly and very gently, I'm just going to put a seal on that. Now you got to just kind of be careful because your objective is not to burn this, it's just to seal that opening, okay? So I'm just going to gently come across. I'm trying not to heat up the other side. And I'm just going to put a little heat on it. I'm going to stroke it over it because, again, I'm not trying to burn this. I'm just trying to seal it. And if you go too much, give it off a little steam. I'm going to hold that for a minute, blow on it, let it cool off, and then I'm going to release. Okay, it's got a good seal. Tried to blow through it, and by now it's just cooled off enough to where I can touch it. Next thing you're going to need is a coiled up piece of paper or a funnel. In my case, I've just used an old piece of paper that I've gotten to fit into the end perfectly. Now I'm going to open up the Cajun. I don't want the sifter side, I want the wide open side. And here's what I'll do for that. I'll spoon some out. I've got these two set together and I'm going to hold it together. And then all I'm going to do is just pour this down inside. Now, I'll go up, check on the light here, see how much of this is in. Oh, okay. Turns out one full, not rounded, but a full teaspoon's a touch too much. So I'm going to dump a little bit of this back in. And again, I'm down to about 1/4 here. So, once again, I'll just put a little pinch on her here, right close to the edge. I'm following the contour of my needle nose pliers. I'm going to make that just a touch deeper, 3/30 thousandths of an inch. I'll set this up, and once again, I'm just gently, slowly but surely, going to melt this seam back together here. So nice and gentle like. I don't want to get it too hot because I don't really want it to burn, and I dang sure don't want it to taint the material that's in the inside. So just gentle and over the ease. You can see that it's sealed in there. And then what I'm going to do is just, I'm going to blow on it. I'm going to let it cool off. Give it, oh, not quite enough. Test your welds first, kids. So that means I need to kind of maybe put a little bit more out there, just so she'll turn down a touch. And again, get this set up. And just ever so gently. I'm going to heat that up, let it come back together, heat that up, slowly but surely. Okay, now that looks like it's got a pretty good melt on it from what I can see here. And again, I'm trying not to burn it, I'm just trying to heat it and melt it back down. If it starts to smoke, she's getting a little too hot. Let's test that. We'll release. Okay, that time it did not pop open. I look up to the light, and again, I'm probably down about 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8 of an inch. Now, I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to label this. I'm just going to call it Cajun because I don't care what kind of Cajun spice. It's just Cajun, so it's going to have a little fire to it. It's going to have some great flavor. So Now, I have labeled this. Got my Cajun lettering on it. Hopefully you guys can see all that. Lo and behold, fits perfectly down inside the Altoids tin. And with an Altoids tin, I could probably put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to say probably about 8 or 9 of these. The second layer, it's going to be pretty darn close to the top of this. So I'm going to get 2 layers with roughly 1, 2, 3. I'm going to probably get about 8 of these in here. But anyway, guys, this is a great way to take some seasoning out into the woods with you. This dude's just going to stay nice and tight. You know, I'm going to leave it in here. I don't have to worry about it getting wet. I don't have to worry about the moisture because it's sealed. Wrap a rubber band around the Altoids tin, and voila. When I'm out in the woods, I'm going to have seasoning for whatever it is that I'm eating. Again, be it a salad, be it whatever I've caught and skinned and put over the fire, or even a backpacker's meal. Some of them are kind of plain. I can always add a little bit more to this. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this today. And I really think this is a great idea. You should try this. What I'll probably do is shoot another video because I'm going to take the exact same thing. I'm going to take a straw like this. I'm going to seal the end. And then what I'm going to do is take a Q-tip. I'm going to cover it in Vaseline. I'm going to put it inside the tube. And I'm going to swathe it around inside there. Then I'm going to stuff a cotton ball down in it. I'm going to seal the other end so that it's got one full cotton ball in it. Then when both ends are sealed, I'll be able to you know, squeeze the straw here. I'll get the Vaseline all over that cotton ball. Then when I'm out and about, it's probably going to be a little bit smaller than this, maybe 1.5 inches or so as far as length is concerned. Then when I'm out in the woods, all I've got to do, slice this open. Probably the long way would be best. And then peel it back a little bit, take the end of my knife, fluff up some of that the cotton ball with the Vaseline on it, be able to hit it with a ferrocerium rod, and boom, you're going to have, you know, 5 to 7 minutes of fire. This plastic will burn. Yes, it's not environmentally friendly. It's not enough to really worry about. It's probably going to smell bad for about 5 minutes. So outside of that, I'm not too concerned about that, but then I'm always going to have dry, ready to go tinder, and I'm also going to have my seasoning, all done with a straw, a way to seal the straw, and then something to carry them in like an Altoids tin. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is an excellent way to carry some spices out into the field with you. You know, guys, if you're camping, backpacking, bugging out, doing whatever, it's always nice to be able to flavor some food. Anyway, guys, just thought I'd share that little idea with you. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep your head up, keep your eyes open. We'll see you outside.